Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast,
Boston's premier art podcast,
where we talk art, culture, and philosophy.
My name is Theodore Earthworms.
And I am Brian Huntress.
Welcome to the show. It's been a while.
It feels like it's been a little while since we recorded. The last time we recorded was with Mark Liam Smith, and that was definitely the last episode that aired as well.
How long ago did we record that? Was that just last week?
At least 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I guess that is how it works, right?
That is, in fact, how it works. You know what I wish existed?
What?
You know how there's 0.5 for cameras?
Yeah.
I wish there was 0.5 for recording.
Like Chipmunk Boys?
No. That it just captured a wider range of audio. Like you could turn up the sensitivity almost. So that it captured more space of audio.
Doesn't that actually exist? It's just better mics?
Yeah, absolutely it exists. I just meant for like voice memos. Like you could just click 0.5 for the voice memos.
That's not really what 0.5 is though on a camera.
I mean, it's increasing the scope of the camera. It's like it's doing a wide angle. So a sensitivity is essentially increasing the scope of an audio recording, is it not?
Yeah, but I was thinking about the fisheye part.
Right.
So,
it's another Thursday night. If you don't know this, our podcast comes out on Fridays, and we didn't prepare an episode, and so we're recording a little bit last minute. We do this a lot, and we always say we're not going to do it because we feel like it can create like a negative vibe or make a stressful situation, but
I don't feel stressed out today.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, I guess in some ways I feel stressed out because I feel like our night could be better spent relaxing and like just being people and vibing, but this is better.
That's true.
It's better to, like, I would rather feel a little bit, I would rather feel some additional stress and complete the things that I have set myself to complete.
Yeah.
Than just feel relaxation and the misery of knowing that I didn't complete something I set out to complete.
I think that I have a unfairly curated experience right now because you laid groundwork for telling me that we needed to record today.
I did.
Which is very cute of you.
I thought of a really funny joke about you.
Okay. Oh.
Well, you are like a 1950s dad.
What does that mean? That sounds like an insult.
It means that you come home from work after being at the office all day, angry, and if dinner's not prepared for you, you're wicked mad and you take it out on me.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, because you know what, though? I come home sometimes and, like, I'll be all excited for my day, and like, okay, so the cafeteria at my job closes at 3 and I get out at 6:30 and I drive an hour home, so I haven't eaten in 5 hours usually by the time that I get home, and I usually eat lunch at 12 too, so I make it like more like 7 hours, so I'm very hungry and there's nowhere to get a snack at all on the way home, so I do come home extremely hungry, which is probably part of the problem. I will admit to that. I am a little more easily angered. But I mean, angry? I feel like we're presenting this with no context. It makes me sound like I'm, like, beating you. I don't come home and take my rage out on you. That's not what happens.
Theo walks in the door.
No, I don't.
Like a in 1950s fashion, picks up a Corningware blue cornflower casserole dish that's empty, and then just throws it at my head.
Stop it.
And the glass shatters everywhere, and
that's not true.
And you even have set up an appointment for me next week to get lobotomized so that I can cook better. I've also been prescribed barbiturates for months.
You didn't tell anybody about it, though?
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody. Theo had me get on them so that I would be a better trad husband.
It was a feminist slay.
It's really a feminist slay that I'm getting lobotomized and not Theo. It's a real girl boss moment for you.
No, I feel like what happens is I come home and I'm hungry, and then you are always like very focused on whatever you were doing when I came home. Like I interrupt your vibe of whatever it is. Like recently it's been you making music, So I'll come home and I'm like hungry, but I'm also like doing that transition thing where I'm like I've been thinking about my day all day in the car. So then I come home and I start talking a lot because I want to tell you about everything. And I give you a rundown of like every social interaction I had that day, like things that happened at work or whatever. But you're focused on what you're doing, so you don't really answer in a way that is adequate. And then I'm hungry and I feel hurt. And then I go pout in the bathroom.
That's been a new thing we've been doing. I love you so much.
Me too.
I heard...
It's only been a little bit. It's not like daily.
I saw a TikTok or a YouTube video or something like pretty... Whatever. I saw it at some point. And it was advice to couples moving in together on what's like something you have to do, whatever. Just advice for that. And one of the points of advice that I thought was interesting that I still think about, that clearly you don't, just kidding, is accepting each other's version of decompression. Or what was the word the guy used?
I saw that same TikTok, transition time or something.
No, it was something else. The guy said, whatever. Basically just how you veg out and do nothing. Like, because not everybody has the same version of that. And I think when you are decompressing from your day, you want to relax and talk and unpack things and sit, you know what I mean? That is like maybe a version of how you do that. But something that I want to do is like get involved in something. Like I want to like decompression for me might be working on something or fixing something or cleaning or working on music or something.
Yeah.
Versus I think for you doing something creative is more something that you would want to decompress before you did.
Yeah, it's like my second wind.
Yeah, I'm like that's the wind that, like, if I just did something all day that I didn't want to do, like work, obviously, the first thing I want to do to decompress is to work on something that I care about.
That makes sense.
I don't know. But that's not always true, though. Sometimes I do want to just, like, lay down and look at my phone or, you know, watch a movie or something.
I think something, too, that does affect that for me, like, maybe I would feel differently about it in the past with other jobs that I've had, but the job that I have right now, like, I don't have, like, the Sunday scaries or anything anymore, or, like, I don't like waking up super early, but once I'm on my way to work, I don't mind that I'm working usually. Like, I kind of enjoy my job and I like seeing my coworkers and stuff. So I think when I come home, it's kind of more of a vibe of like, I mean, obviously there's stressful days and there are days where I don't feel like this, but more often than not, like on average, it's like I just got home from school or something, or like I just like stopped hanging out with a friend that I was hanging out with or something. So I have stuff that I want to tell you because it helps me like not process the day. Like, I don't even know if it's that serious of a term, but like I like to recap in my head what happened. And when I used to not live with you and I would go home and I'd be in my room by myself, I would usually journal when I go home from work or watch TikToks. I do that too. Like, I need time to kind of separate myself mentally and emotionally from whatever happened during the day so that I can begin my second day at night.
What did any of us do before TikTok?
Instagram.
Yeah.
I was on Instagram a lot.
I was on Facebook way more before TikTok came out.
Yeah. Everybody was.
Because I'm an old person, apparently.
I feel like the pandemic really killed Facebook for our age group because it was, like, still pretty active in the late 2010s. Like, there were some people that dropped 100%. Off, but even the people that said that they weren't on Facebook and, like, were fucking assholes about it, like, you were liking posts still. I know that you were there. But now people are actually not on Facebook anymore.
I feel like there's a little bit of a cutoff with Facebook usage where older very young millennials are like the last avid Facebook users versus older Gen Z kids maybe use it like millennials, but way less. But like old people, like silent generation motherfuckers and boomers and Gen X live there.
Silent generation?
Yeah, that's like people born in the 30s and 40s.
You think people born in the 30s are on Facebook?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the only thing they use online.
90-year-olds?
Yes, 80-year-old, 90-year-olds are on Facebook, probably in the millions. I'm not exaggerating. See if you can look up Facebook age demographics. I promise you, there are 80 and 90-year-olds on Facebook.
Huh.
Anyway,
I guess I believe you.
that's the only one that they do use.
Yeah.
And they're all buying shit on Temu. Talk to any old person and bring up Temu, and their heads explode. They'll be so excited to talk about Temu. Have you heard about Temu yet?
You know who told me about it is your grandpa.
Yeah, old people are going fucking crazy for it, and I don't completely understand what it is, but it sounds like it's like Alibaba or Amazon or something.
It's like Wish for old people.
It's Wish for old people, yeah. They can buy like silver coins and like tackle boxes and ornate canes. Anyway,
Wish too.
You could definitely do that on Wish, I'm sure. But
Does Wish still exist?
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
I haven't used it or thought about it since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I used to be an avid Wish user because I was like so broke that when I wanted to splurge, I would just buy like something that cost like 14 cents on Wish, like cat toys and stuff.
That's so funny because I've never done that.
It was like not a great mental health era for me. That might have been part of it.
Yeah. One thing I actually remember thinking about you when we first started talking a lot, that you don't do it anymore, but I remember noticing it about you, is that you seem to buy so much shit online.
Well, you met me during the pandemic.
Right. That was a different time financially for everybody.
It was also, like, for me specifically, a very different time financially because, like, now in my, like, stable 20s and, like, adult brain prefrontal cortex era, I have, like, an adult job and I have, like, an understanding of budgeting and I have, like I can decide I'm going to spend money in a few weeks and I budget for that and then I can just do that and it's fine. But for most of my life when I was younger, I was always good with getting money in terms of, like, I would waitress and, like, work my ass off and then have cash and put it on, like, I was responsible about bills and things like that. But I never, like, I always would spend it when I had it, whether it was on necessities or whatever, but I never had anything extra. So, like, once the pandemic happened and suddenly I was, like, not required to commute, I could, like, buy food and eat it at home and, like I just had extra money all the time. It was, like, very much a self-care thing for me, I think. Like, I was sleeping with, like, on a bed that had, like, the shittiest sheets in the world. I bought all new bedding. I bought shelving and organizers for my room. Like, I bought, like, stuff for my cat. Like, I was buying things that I had previously been, like, ripping myself off and not having because I didn't consider it a priority when I was, like, 21.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't regret doing that. I do sort of regret it. I kind of wish I had some of that money still, but...
Right. You know what's, speaking of age groups and stuff, pretty soon, in my mind, well, and in reality too, I will be officially exiting my mid-20s in November. I will be 28. And you may be saying, well, 27 is your mid-20s. I mean, late 20s. But in my mind, I feel like 27...
It's not.
It's kind of like you can push it either way. You can be like, oh, I'm a 27-year-old in my... whatever. Or whatever. You can see it as old and young.
No, I think it mirrors your teens. Like, when you're... well, actually, maybe it's a little different with your teens. Because I think 16 is, like... 16 is simultaneously peak teen and, like, an idiot. Like, if you're 18, you don't think a 16-year-old knows anything. They're a child. But 17 is, like, all right, some older teens... Like, a 19-year-old might hang out with a 17-year-old. They could be friends, work at the same job, whatever. Yeah. Like, you have some respect when you're 17. Yeah. But you're also not an adult. Like, you are right in the, like, prime of your teens. And that is the same thing with 27. Like, if you're 25, 26, it's like, okay... Like, you're in your 20s, we understand that, but you're also kind of an idiot. Like, we don't really respect you. By the time you're, like, 27, it's like, okay, you are in your 20s. Yeah. And then when you're, like, 29, it's like, what? What's wrong?
Oh, I just was trying to jump in, like, 10 times!
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry you jumped in the middle of my speaking. Jesus.
Sorry, I'm a psychopath.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to yell at you.
I thought something, like, happened. You, like, flipped out.
No, your point just wouldn't end. Sorry.
I feel like this is disproportionate from just audio, but you just like whipped your entire body around and silently looked at me, which is why I reacted like that.
That didn't happen.
For the sake of the listener.
It didn't happen.
Like, I thought you hit someone.
No, I didn't.
All right, what's your point?
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't. Now it's stupid because I was gonna say I don't. So, no offense to any of our super young listeners, but when I meet somebody who is like 21, I do not. That's how I know I'm old, because I feel like it's like such an idiotic delayed development thing, maybe. But I feel like I used to like meet people that were college age, and I would feel like I related to them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like me thinking that I was college age went too long. Like, I was like 26 thinking that I was like a college vibe demographic. Yeah. And that just wasn't true at all. Now when I meet somebody who is actually college aged, I am talking to a teenager.
Yeah.
And no offense to those people. I think they're all great. It's all about context. But in terms of like life situation shit, I definitely relate to somebody way more well into their 30s than I do people that are in their 20s at this point in time.
Yeah.
You know? Like, for example, I don't drink or smoke weed, but I am currently an age where it would be wildly inappropriate for me to do that every day, all the time.
Yeah.
But if I was 20 and I was drinking like multiple times a week and smoking weed every day, that'd be fine, right? I mean, it would be bad, probably.
It would be like not great.
But culturally, everyone would be like, all right, that makes sense.
It would be normal.
It's kind of like 80s metal hair.
Yeah.
Where it's like totally fine that the 80s old guys had that hair, but now I'm being totally mean to old people right now, but the old guys that are still dressing like that, it's strange.
I think it has to do too with the kind of job that you have, because if you are like 20 years old, you're probably either not working at all and you're just in college, or in which case, like, if you get to class and you're hungover, like, nobody gives a shit as long as you're going to class, you know? And even if you don't, I guess nobody's really holding you accountable.
Yeah, they don't care what you do. They don't care if you die.
I mean, if you don't go to class often enough, you get kicked out of college. So that's when it becomes, like, if you get kicked out of college because you're drinking too much, like, even if you're 20, like, you're
you turned up too hard.
Yeah. Or not enough, depending on how you think about it. But you could be, if you're the kid that is, like, drinking every single night and going to all the parties, but you're also going to class and you have good grades, it's like you're the boss. Like, you pulled it all off.
Yeah.
It's like, power to you. But if you have a job and you show up visibly hungover to your job, or if you go to a work function and everyone sees that you were drinking and then you come in late the next day and you work in, like, an office, that is not a great look. And that can affect the rest of your life, even if you're not drinking to a point that's like maybe you're not like drunk driving, but like people notice that about you, and that's something that people will talk about behind your back. But maybe if you did that and you're still getting all your work done and you are like a bartender, maybe that's not that weird, you know what I mean? Well, maybe every day is a lot, but...
Also, I think I might want to revise my earlier statement. I think that you can, depending on the person, you could probably smoke weed most days in one form or another and have a completely great and productive life.
That's true too.
Yeah, I feel like I
missed that.
I think I might have cast too dark of an aspersion on weed smoking in general.
That's fair.
But anyway.
Weed and alcohol are different beasts in that sense.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's like the difference. Never mind, actually. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm like... It is, you know, it's kind of like the older you get, like I feel like maybe, you know what, besides like big milestone birthdays, no, what the hell was I going to say? Like milestone birthdays are probably significant no matter how old you get.
Yeah. Like
turning 70, you know, it's not that big of a difference between 60 and 70 probably, but turning 70 would be fucking really significant, I bet, for a 70-year-old.
I bet there's a really big difference between 60 and 70.
Depends on the person. Depends on the person.
Yeah.
There are probably 70-year-olds that run marathons.
I mean, yeah.
Probably millions of them.
I bet there's a lot more 60-year-olds that run marathons.
Anyway, I don't know what the fuck I'm even saying. I guess I'm just saying, like, there may come a time in my life where I stop thinking that every birthday is, like, absolutely mind-bendingly, like, earth-shatteringly, like, wow, my life's so different now because I changed age. But, like, when I turn 30, that's probably gonna fuck my life up. Or 29, because that's, like, that's like a lot of anticipation, you know?
Yeah, it's like being 19.
Right. Wow. But no, 19 and 20 are like fake birthdays, you know?
I disagree. I mean, I get what you mean, because like 21 is the milestone. It's like 18 and 21.
Right.
But I think 19 is the real middle child of birthdays. Because you're just like pissed off and jaded and like sick of being in your teen years, and you consider yourself in your 20s, but nobody will give you that. Like, you're still 19.
What a weird life. Do you think there's any old people listening to this right now that just are just like, what the fuck, man? Like,
you know, you always ask that.
What's wrong with these people?
I feel like once an episode you ask if there are any old people listening, and I think the answer is no.
I think no. Our demographics say that there is a small portion of people above 60 that listen to this podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Like every time?
Pretty consistently, yeah. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for listening. Sorry for being mean to you sometimes.
Interesting. Let me know if you're running any marathons. Because
Yeah,
I'm
let us know.
26 and I'm not doing that, so.
Yeah, that is
Could
something.
never be me.
I think that's something that I would like to do before I die. I feel like, you know, even if I came in absolute last place, I feel like that would be like, I don't know. Like, there's some things that I feel like should be done, but like driving cross country, going to Europe.
Absolute last place. So, okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you're running a marathon and you're like an hour behind everybody else,
Yeah.
do they wait for you?
I think marathon finish line crossing happens the entire day. Like, I think the finish line shit goes for hours.
But what if everybody else has finished already and there's one guy that they still haven't seen show up yet?
Well, I mean, probably within reason. I mean, I'm sure, like, the Boston Marathon, for example, there's probably a lot of people that just don't even finish it. They just stop at some point.
That's a good point.
But I'm sure, I mean, if you're, like, 2 days late, you know, you're running down Boylston Street and there's, like, traffic going and DoorDash drivers,
But
like, running you over in front of Chick-fil-A.
How do they know what to call it? Like, what if you're, like, 45 minutes late?
I'm sure that you could probably be, like, so what do you mean, like, 45 minutes after the first place winner?
No, after the last place before you. Like, you're the last guy. How do they know you're
literally,
still running?
maybe, no.
There must be an end time. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
It's
probably just, like, nighttime. I don't know. I'd never been to the Boston Marathon.
That would be so embarrassing. Can you imagine if you ran the entire marathon and you got there and everybody had already left?
That would fucking be so funny, because it would be such a good story to just hold in your heart. Like, that happened to you.
I'm being such a dick right now because I've never even done, like, a fucking, like, walk. Like, what are those called? 5K?
I've never done that
even
either.
walked a 5K, so saying that it would be embarrassing to finish the Boston Marathon.
What is 5K? What is that?
Kilometers?
You walk 5 kilometers?
That sounds wrong, because I think that's a very short distance, isn't it?
I don't know the difference between miles and kilometers.
Damn, I don't either. It's kind of embarrassing.
Honestly, I don't even care, because I'm not going to Europe anytime soon.
They walk 5Ks here. That's how they measure.
I'm also not going to walk a 5K at all.
I thought you said that was something you had to do before you die.
No, that's 5K sounds whack. Like, that's like, why would I do that? Like, but doing a marathon sounds cool.
A marathon a 5K can be a marathon. They're different lengths.
Well, do you walk a marathon? You don't walk a marathon.
You can.
Yeah, no.
They're the same thing.
Are you saying that a 5K is something that you're supposed to walk?
No. They're the same
you
thing.
run the 5K.
Yeah, 5K is a length of a marathon.
Oh, I was thinking of something that apparently doesn't exist. I thought you were saying a 5K is like an event where everyone walks 5 kilometers.
You can walk a 5K, but people run 5Ks too.
But I thought you were saying that it's something where everybody's agreeing we're all going to walk this.
A 5K is a marathon that's 3 miles long. The Boston Marathon is probably like 20 miles long.
Yeah, it starts in like fucking like like the top, like the very end of the Charles River, which is in like the middle of fucking nowhere.
The Boston Marathon is 42 kilometers, which is 26 miles.
Dude, I could like, the last time I ran, I could hardly, like, I could do like a mile comfortably, 2 miles, and like in pain. So to imagine just like run like full speed, I don't know, man. But can you imagine how legendary you'd probably be like famous if you just did like at least one first place Boston Marathon run?
Yeah.
Is there like a cash prize for that? Like, do you win something?
There must be. It's been going on for like 100 years. Let me see.
Beep 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 boo bop beep beep bo.
Maybe you
Beep
get a
beep
bumper
beep
sticker
beep
like
beep
Mount
beep bop beep beep. But you can probably get that sticker without doing it.
Oh,
is there a prize?
Shit. The Boston Marathon was the first Abbott World Marathon major event to offer equal $50,000 course record bonuses across open and wheelchair. Yeah, first place winners of the open and men's and women's divisions receive $150,000 apiece.
That would be fucking sick, dude. That's like the salary of a really good job.
For a year, yeah. I wonder if they pay taxes on that.
Wow. Prize taxes? Like,
probably.
Like prize purse taxes of a sporting event?
No, it's still income. It's the same as if you win the lottery, I bet.
Yeah, but do you pay taxes on like gifted money? Like if somebody gives you $1 million, do you pay taxes on it?
I think so. If someone gives you a house, you have to pay taxes on it.
Don't talk to me about being gifted houses. What do you want me to fucking jump off a bridge?
Why are we driving into Boston right now? I usually just do laps around the suburbs.
I usually just do laps around the suburbs when we record, but I drove us into Boston because we're the Boston Art Podcast.
Should we get Boba's?
Let's go to Bova's.
Okay.
That's a great idea. We'll go to Bova's right now.
That's my favorite idea.
But maybe you could GPS it for us.
But we don't need to know where it is for a while.
Yeah, maybe we'll end the podcast by going to Bova's.
Yeah, we don't want to drive there while we're recording, so we're going to get stuck in Bova's. The driving there sucks.
Going there is pretty fucking stressful, that's true. Going there in a car is very stressful.
I'm also wearing slippers right now.
So what? You'll look cool.
Well, I can't walk far. I was going to say we could park further away and walk to it.
No, I'll just pull up, you get out, wait in line, and I'll just fucking sit in the car live parked in front of a dumpster.
In my slippers?
I mean, we could switch places. I could go in.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that, though, because I'm not going to be able to pick the right stuff. You have a very specific way of picking things in Bova's.
I order the same things every time.
Really?
Yeah, I get chocolate dipped strawberries. Last time I fucked up because they come in bunches of 2. So I asked for 4 of them, but then I wound up with 8 individual strawberries because I meant 4 total, like 2 bunches of 2.
Right.
But I just wound up with a fuck ton of chocolate strawberries, which I didn't even look at my credit card. I just swiped it, so I have no idea how much that cost, but I think it was expensive.
Speaking of money, I finally switched car insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say I don't have basic coverage anymore. I have middle coverage, which is great.
That is great.
And I'm paying $100 less a month.
That's insane.
Isn't that awesome? I'm like kind of wondering if I just like accidentally called some like online scam that some asshole like just stole money from me and I just don't know yet.
Did they send you the paperwork?
Yeah.
When you change insurance, do you have to re-register your car?
No, I asked that. Apparently it updates when you only, like, if the police run your plate, your up-to-date insurance will appear in the RMV registry.
Oh. But
you don't have to worry about the paper until you re-register.
Oh, that's nice.
But I don't know if that's true. If you went to like Texas or something, where those assholes down there, they don't know nothing about the registration. They want proof of insurance in your license.
Well,
isn't that spooky? Like, how do you prove that?
You could just reorder a copy of your registration or have the digital version on your phone.
Yeah, I don't think it's that pressing, though. I'm not exactly worried about it because I don't get pulled over, really, knock on wood, and I don't care, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as you're insured. I was doing some math today. I forgot to tell you about this. I realized that I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to disclose my salary to make this point. I guess I will. Fuck it.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
It doesn't matter, right?
Why not?
I feel like it doesn't really matter. But I pay a shit ton in car insurance and my car payment combined, right? And I've been putting extra money on my car payment as much as I can the whole time I've had it, which has been since the end of 2021. And I got like, we were talking earlier about how my finances are very different now than they used to be, but I got like majorly fucked when my car died at the end of 2021 because I had just moved home, which I did to save money. So it was like 4 months after I moved home, and I just gotten a job that was an hour commute from my house that I needed to be able to live. So I had to buy a new car ASAP because my other one just like completely fell apart and I was fucked. So I had a week to figure it out, and I had not that great credit and nobody would co-sign for me, and I only had like a couple $1,000s to put down because I was not expecting to have to make this purchase at all. It was pretty out of the blue. And I junked my old car and got like $400 for it, so that wasn't helpful. This was also during the car chip shortage, and my credit score wasn't that great at the time.
What a fucking nightmare that was.
It was like the worst possible time for me to need to do that. So long story short, my credit score now, and people in my age group making the money that I do with my credit score would pay on average, according to Credit Karma, a 7% interest on their car loan. I pay 21%. Which is like if I charged it to a credit card. Like, it's a lot of interest, which has been making it really hard to pay down. And it means that I have a really high monthly payment that I can't negotiate, and I can't refinance the car loan because of the lender who gave it to me, because I only qualified for like the world's shittiest lender ever. The good news is it's made my credit score like skyrocket. It went up by like 200 points because I've been paying it every month. But the bad news is I pay like basically rent. Because also another requirement of the car payment is that I have to have like really high quality insurance. Like, it's way more than I've ever needed to have before ever, which is kind of useless because I've never been in a car accident with this car. So
knock on wood.
Yeah, but anyway, I was doing some math because I've almost paid off the whole car loan now, which is nice. My guesstimate is that it's going to take me another like 10 months to a year to finish paying it off if I just pay my minimum payment, which is like fucking $300 plus my like $250 a month for car insurance. So anyway, if I were to go back to regular car insurance rate and finish paying off my car, so not pay like $400 a month, it would be the same in terms of debt to income ratio as if right now I got a $7,000 a year raise to my salary.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. So I make 48 right now, 48,000 a year, which is the most I've ever made, so I'm grateful for it. But if I didn't have my car payment, it would have the same impact on my life and my savings and my ability to pay rent, etc., as if I now made 55.
Wait, say that again? What
I make 48, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of debt to income ratio, like what I pay monthly versus how much I get to keep of my salary, it would be the same, with tax included, as if I was making 55,000 instead of 48 right now.
Right. I don't fully understand. I'm having a stupid moment.
So basically the math that I did was I calculated the difference between what my insurance was before I had this insurance. So assuming it's like $100 a month less, which is like a guesstimate, but whatever. So if I was paying regular insurance rate, like what you're paying right now, and I didn't have a car payment, and I calculate that by, it's like $400, multiply that by 12 months in a year, and then thinking about, like, I kind of guesstimated what my salary would be if I just still had that money. Like, if I was being given that much more money every month, and then I just like cheat a little bit off for like I cheated up a little bit because that would be post-tax income, because like I pay my taxes and then I pay my bills out of the money I have left over, right? So I added like 30% of what that, like, I added as if I had paid taxes already, and the math came out to my salary would be, in order to make that much money back for it to be a net zero in terms of expenses, I'd be making $55,000 a year.
That's fucking crazy that you calculated all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I like numbers.
I don't even want to talk about my own financial situation because...
I wish you would let me. I love it. I love doing that.
What? Do all that?
Yeah.
Nah, that shit just stresses me out, dude. I'd rather just live in the darkness of of idiocy.
You're letting money just drift away from you if you don't know all you can do.
All right. Let's circle back to something a little less stressful. Well, because I don't even have a fixed yearly income because I make money as an independent contractor through art. And I also, what used to be me doing odd jobs or helping people move or like doing stupid shit like that for money, now just every few weeks I work like 50 to 60 hours on a food delivery app. Postmates, Uber Eats type stuff.
You know what would be interesting though that you could do without changing your structure of income at all is just pick a target income that would put your savings and your bills and everything in a place that you are comfortable with, like putting money towards a certain savings goal or whatever. Figure out what that number is and then calculate how much you have to make in a month or in a week or whatever to have that much income. So you don't have to worry about days when, like, once you know you've hit this number, you can work more if you want to, but you also know that you can relax.
Maybe you should be like an accountant or something.
I literally work in finance.
I suppose you do, technically.
No, like literally, I do.
I suppose you do, literally. Does that make you a finance bro?
No.
Oh.
I think a prerequisite of that is like
having an e-bike.
Misogyny.
Right.
No.
No e-bike for you. Oh my god. So, last time we talked about music on this podcast, I talked about how I like making music again and I want to do more music. And then shortly after recording that episode, I, through some friends of ours, discovered the world of Vocaloid and kind of like automated singing MIDI programs. Mm-hmm. And it has like changed my fucking life. What's the famous Vocaloid singer? Do you know the name?
I don't remember her
first name. Is it
Hari
Miku?
Hatsune Miku?
But basically, if you have no idea,
I don't know.
If you have no idea what I'm talking about,
the girl with the blue hair.
Well, not just that, but basically, there is this entire music movement and genre in Japan and probably elsewhere where there are these music producers, and I'm assuming teams of songwriters or perhaps just whatever. There's a creative team that creates a character, right? Like, and they are like in the popular ones, popular Vocaloids are like anime characters essentially, and they write songs from this character's perspective and whatever, this or that, and then they fucking produce the fuck out of it and make these like fucking crazy, like crazy super pop stadium rock things and do hologram live shows with like an anime fucking character playing like mega bangers, like Eras Tour type shit. And they fucking sell these motherfuckers out, and people come from all over probably to see them.
That's cool.
And it's fucking sick as fuck. And I remember hearing about that in the 2010s and just being like, oh, that's like weird. Okay, they're always doing futuristic shit over in Japan. That's pretty dope. I fuck with that, but I don't understand it at all. And I never thought about it again until recently, when I discovered that those programs that they use to make those songs is the type of I already have an intimate, in-depth understanding of how to use, because it's as simple as fucking GarageBand. And I'm not using the Vocaloid software, which is like, it's like the Adobe Photoshop. Like, it's a very expensive licensed program, and it's really nice and whatever. It's like
what software do you use?
I use one that's considered equally as good, but it's cheaper and is probably not used by like stadium Vocaloid producers, but it's called Synthesizer V, and it's pretty fucking dope. But it's literally just as easy as just creating like programmed, like if you know how to make programmed piano, programmed bass bars, but what programmed, if you just know how to fucking make music on a computer, you know how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it is so fucking fun. Like I've been just making like hyper pop, weird, like wacky fucking just weird electronic pop songs, and I've been featuring my own vocals, duetting. I've been duetting the Vocaloid software and harmonizing with it, and writing my own harmonies to my own songs with the Vocaloid.
That's cool.
And it's like making music with another person.
Some of the stuff that you've been making is really neat too.
Should I play a little sample of it right now?
Yeah.
My feet fell into the clouds, making vines reach up and wrap around. They wanna keep me from running.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's what it sounds like.
I think it's gonna be really funny if we forget to do this and then someone messages us and is like, there's a part where you're supposed to put
Oh,
song
fuck
in,
'em.
and they just kept talking.
If you are that person, don't even message me because I don't care.
You should message us.
I'm not gonna re-edit it if I forget. Anyway, but so I've been doing that, and it's literally like so fun because like, and you know what's funny is I've been working on musically, and that's all I've been thinking about musically. And I today would just decided to like listen to these like acoustic demos that I made like 2 years ago that I've just had floating around for like a long ass time. And I like completely was like, I was listening to them. I'm like, I can't believe I used to write like this. What the fuck was I doing? What was I doing before I discovered hologram robot voices from Japan? What the fuck was I doing trying to write songs as if I'm like a country artist from 1940? You know?
I like your acoustic songs. Your Vocaloid stuff is really cool too, though. And I think that it's really neat how much you have produced since you started using the program, like last week or whatever.
Yeah,
You've literally written like 6 songs.
Yeah, I suppose I have, and I'm gonna make it a full ass album. And you know what's funny too? I'm sure he'll pull through, so it won't matter if I prematurely talk about it. But remember that one that I was working on last night? That's like about like whatever, the one that I was like annoying you with last night. I was gonna put in a second verse to that, but decided that I should just have Trevor feature on it and just put his own verse in it.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Like Exquisite Corpse, but
I guess so. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Am I on a dead end right now? I think I am, actually.
Oh, shit. That would be a really fun game to play, actually, making music, is if you actually fully Exquisite Corpsed it. Like, you both just made verses and were like, this is, like, I don't know, like, this is the key that it's going to be in. Just write something.
You know, I think that I've never really collaborated. Like, I've collaborated with probably less, like, in a real meaningful way where I wrote tons of songs with them. Maybe 5 people. Like over like in the fucking like 10 plus years that I've been doing this. Actually, as far as music goes, I've only been playing guitar for like 11 years. I've been trying to do music for probably many years longer than that. Anyway. But yeah, I've never really I don't have tons and tons of experience writing songs with other people. But I think that's kind of how it is, really. Like, if you're remotely collaborating with people, it's just like they just send you back what they send you back. Because I was thinking about that. I was like, what if you try to feature somebody on a song, and then they send you back something, and you're like, it's horrible. What do I do? I hate it.
You probably just have to tell them you hate it. Or just ghost them, but that would be antisocial.
I mean, I think my personal take on that would...
You gotta just release it.
It would really depend why I hated it. Like, I remember one time, actually, there was one time somebody that I knew that I don't talk to anymore invited me to feature on a song of theirs.
Yeah.
And to, like, do a verse. And the chorus of it, I was, like, listening to what they wanted me to feature on, and it was just, like, the creepiest song ever.
Really?
Like about like killing people, or like it sounded like it was a song, like it was like supposed to be a love song, but it sounded like it was like a song about like killing somebody that you're following around or something.
Ooh.
Like it was like kind of like an unintentionally scary, weird song. And I ended up not doing it for that.
I don't want to be associated
Yeah,
with
I
it.
was like, this is actually wicked creepy that you made this. And I'm unfortunately.
Did the person turn out to be a creepy person?
Uh,
Or was it just a total, like,
I don't know.
unfortunate situation?
yeah, honestly, let's not even go there. But
Ooh, interesting.
that was just, anyway, whatever. We don't have to read into it, but it was just weird.
Well, no, I wasn't even talking about that. I meant, like, not even letting the other person know what you wrote. Like, just
Yeah.
fully blind.
Well, I mean, I think it would really, like I said, I think it would really depend, because I think if you are going to collaborate with people, you have to refine your automatic critiquing mind. Like, because like if you just like sense something that isn't your taste or that you might not like right off the bat and you just knee jerk reject it, that's bad collaboration.
Yeah.
But if you knee jerk or if you instantly reject or not like something because it's off key or it's performed badly or produced badly, that's different. You know, like if somebody just, like if you wanted to feature someone in a song and they sent you back a verse and they recorded it like inside of a tuna can,
Yeah.
and it sounded like shit and it was like in the wrong key or something, that would be like, all right, dude, you're like a dumbass for that. But if it was just like an aesthetic difference, like a stylistic thing that you might not normally do or this or that, I feel like you gotta, I think you have to stop the knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And just look at it from a more objective or bird's eye view. You know, because when you're in a band, like if you're writing songs in a band with like 5 people, you're not going to like everything.
That's true.
Like it's never going to be unanimous. Like there will always be very tiny concessions. Like, you know, not like deal-breaking concessions that you have to make, but there will be little ones.
Yeah, because there's
Like,
a lot of people.
Yeah, like I wouldn't necessarily have said it like that or sung it like this. But you are setting aside that, you know.
Well, I feel like that's why it's important to tell the people you're collaborating with how you really feel about things. Because if you have a dynamic where you don't usually advocate for, like, I don't like this or I do like this or whatever, like, and emphasizing, like, praise as well as, like, tearing people down. But, like, then it's a big deal and there's, like, emotional investment. And if you're like, hey, I don't really like this, and they're like, well, I do, so I don't really want to change it. And then you're like, well, I spoke up about it though. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can get frustrated the person didn't listen to you if you're not used to just being like, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's why I think for me, I think as far as feedback and criticism and rejection goes, I think that there is a set amount of things. There's a handful of things that are trump cards, like immediate, like anybody, like things, like there are completely valid, there's a handful of completely valid reasons to instantly reject something.
Yeah.
But if something does not tap on those things, I think that you might have to just accept it. You know, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it really depends though, because it's like, if you are collaborating, I guess it depends on the nature of the collaboration. Like, if you're being asked and you have a right based on the pre-existing, like, conditions of your collaboration, like, if you were painting on the same canvas and you had a disagreement about, like, composition, you can't just say, like, I don't like it, like, we have to change it, like, I decided it's like this. That's, like, being a dickhead. But if you... This is the reason why they teach critique in art school. Like, you have to know how to back up. Like, I find this to be an issue. This is why I think it's an issue. This is what could be done better. Because then the person can say, all right, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really like what you're suggesting. But then this is a solution that addresses your interests and addresses mine.
Yeah.
And that's a skill set that you need for, like, any kind of collaboration. Like, even if you work in, like, an office, you're talking about paperwork. Like, you have to know how to do that. So I think it depends. Like, if the ball is in your court and this is something that, like, exists in your yard in terms of, like, I want to be able to put my seal of approval on this and I'm being asked to do that, you should be able to say, like, you don't have to just eat it. You should be able to say, like, this is how I feel, this is why I feel this way. And if the person can defend it, maybe that's different. But if they can't, and it objectively sucks, and everyone agrees that, then I feel like there's more of a conversation to be had.
Yeah, like I guess I was saying that there are things that you can like if somebody wanted to insert lyrics that were disturbing or offensive or off color in some way, then you could be like, bro, like that's not gonna fly right now.
Yeah.
Or if somebody is unintentionally being completely off key or bad sounding.
Yeah.
Or like those are times where you can be like, no, that sucks. But I think if you do that trump card behavior in time and outside of those boundaries, you just are becoming kind of tyrannical.
I agree with that. I just think that there's also a third option of like collaboration is supposed to exist for the reason of like you're blending both of your styles and aesthetics, right? So in the same way that you wouldn't want to just veto or reject anything, like maybe there's a version of disagreement that isn't outright rejection. It's just yes-anding, you know what I mean? And I feel like normalizing that in your creative relationships is really important, because then the other person, like you build sort of a trust and rapport that if the person has feedback for you, it's in good faith and you might be more likely to listen to it, and vice versa. And you'll make something that's more interesting than if you've been working on your own because you're incorporating their voice, which is the reason you're collaborating in the first place.
Yeah. Another interesting thing to note about collaboration is that it's rarely a blind dating situation.
Yeah.
And it's, you're more likely to be collaborating with somebody that you already really like and are probably predisposed to be agreeing with them most 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Like when me and you collaborate on art, our additions and remixes and this and that excite each other. Like we're not like drawing something or making something together and then I change it or you change it and the other person's like disgusted.
So here's the other thing though. Actually, this happened during the letter project. I just remembered it. We were talking for a while about the idea of like destruction as creation while we were doing the letter project. And I don't remember which one of us this was, but one of us floated the idea of just literally burning one of them and taking a photo of the burning thing and sending that back. And the other person rejected it because it would destroy the actual piece and ruin the outcome of the piece surviving and evolving. Like it would end the life of that piece, which wasn't in alignment with the rest of the composition. And the idea, still a great idea, conceptually would have been interesting. The argument, an understandable argument, and it was made in good faith, and we both thought about it and decided that we agreed on that.
Well, let me ask you a second question. Kind of like Thaddeus' ship. Is that what that parable or whatever is called?
I know what you mean. I don't think it's Thaddeus, though.
Thaddeus, Theseus, or something. Anyway.
Theseus, maybe?
I don't fucking know. What if one of us had completely shredded and pulped the art piece and then recast it as a completely new piece of paper and sent that back? And it was the same exact shape and size, but it was a blank handmade piece of paper made from the pulp of the art piece. Would that have been out of bounds, you think?
So, I don't even know if I still agree that burning the original piece and sending a photo back would have been out of bounds. But, I mean,
What if it was a bag of the ashes?
That might have been what the original idea was. Might have been your idea.
Maybe,
But, I would say, if we are arguing that point, assuming that I do think that, I would say that it probably is in bad faith, because the reason that we had said that it wouldn't work is because we wanted to be able to have that like photo archive of each iteration and being able to trace the iteration. Like there'd be a break in the lineage of the image. Like it would go from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to all of a sudden back to 0 in the same piece, which is interesting conceptually, but visually, if we were trying to have it like a gallery show with the photos laid out, would be inconsistent.
It might kind of suck.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be worth the gesture. It's really, but that's something that's kind of interesting about the letter project too, is that there was a performance element to it for the two of us, that would have like been fucking so cool to open that envelope and see that, but the viewer that we were considering seeing it later wouldn't have the same experience, so that performance element was null.
Yeah, it's so funny how I never considered myself a conceptual artist despite my many forays and despite my own lifetime ventures into conceptual art behavior.
Yeah.
But it's funny how like I feel like I've had artistic relationships and like friendship, like, I don't know, just acquaintances so many times over the years that were, you know, somebody that I talked about painting with. Like every time I see my Uncle Gary, the only thing we talk about is oil painting.
Yeah.
Or people who are very interested in the gallery world, or getting an MFA and becoming a professor. I don't know, whatever. But like, I feel like we just talk about conceptual art. And it's kind of funny because I think, Theo, that I have a theory about our podcast.
Okay.
I think that me and you, if we're going to do this podcast for much longer than we already have, but I think that we have been unintentionally capturing and documenting a art movement that we didn't really know about.
What do you mean?
Public conceptual art in Boston is literally like a moment in history that we have been living through since the start of the pandemic.
Public conceptual art.
Public conceptual art. Like the white bikes, as we've maybe talked about on the podcast or not, which are exist in many cities, but when a person loses their life as a cyclist on the road, they will put up a white bike to memorialize them at the site where they died. Or a project where they put hundreds of empty chairs in a field to symbolize people who lost their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is an art movement of the 2010s and 2020s that isn't really fully documented or discussed, but it will be, and we are documenting a lot of it. What say you?
I don't know if I fully agree.
Do you feel like that kind of art has just already been here doing that the whole time?
I think there are 2 points. One being that one. I think that that's not that new of a concept. I think that we've been seeing it a lot more, but I think that part of the reason we've been seeing it so much since 2020 is because there was a major tragedy. So like there's a lot of conceptual art related to COVID. Like even the little white signs with the hearts on them. Like everybody looks at that and knows that means like healthcare workers. You know what I mean? Like I stand with healthcare workers, even though that's not really. But then I guess the other point I was going to make that I'm not totally sure is accurate, maybe it's more of just raising a flag, is I just accidentally used an office term in regular life. It was weird. Anyway, I don't know if that technically is conceptual art, because aren't those just monuments?
I mean, I think monuments are a form of conceptual art. What do you think of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? A concept that a monument that exists in probably every fucking Western country. Did you know also that I'm pretty sure in America, I think this is like a well-known thing, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in DC doesn't have people in it. There's no soldier in it.
Yeah, I thought that all of them were like that.
I mean, I'm sure there could be tombs with unidentified soldiers in them. That's possible, but the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a public conceptual piece, really.
To people who were lost.
It's technically, it is propaganda. So that kind of takes it out of conceptual art a little bit. Like, is propaganda a form of political conceptual art? I might be inclined to say yes, maybe, you know? But
so I guess the thing that I'm having a hang up about is the definition, like being just very specific about like naming terminology, I guess.
What is conceptual art?
Yeah, because I know that conceptual art is, because I don't know, I guess is there a delineation between conceptual art as a genre and art that
has a concept?
Yes.
I think in my mind, I kind of define conceptual art as being art that abandons the product, the meta of requiring an art object. Like art that has an art object, like it's an assemblage or it's a sculpture, there is a thing that we're looking at. That's not conceptual art to me. that might be art that has a concept. But when the art breaks that barrier and no longer, like an installation, a performance piece, you know, like Yoko Ono standing in a gallery and just screaming for 30 seconds. So, that's conceptual art to me. That seems to be where it begins.
I think that's true, but what about in cases like Damien Hirst is a famous conceptual artist, and like the shark in the gallery, there is an art object there, but that's still conceptual.
I mean, I don't know.
It's not representation.
I don't know. I mean, I know why you're saying that, and I agree with you, I guess, but I'm not sure that he's really known as a conceptual artist. Like, I think I think he's done a lot of conceptual art, but I don't know if, like, you Googled him, I don't think it would say, like, conceptual artist.
I think.
Let's verify. I don't know. What do people call him?
Contemporary art.
Young British
conceptual artist.
All right. I guess.
Well, I guess it's hard because he.
I mean, Marina Abramovic, the artist is present. That's performance art, sure, but that's conceptual art.
Which is true. I think that it's like maybe the Venn diagram is like there's multiple circles and there's some overlap, because performance art is. So, for example, if you were in like a Shakespeare play, that's not conceptual art, but it is performance art.
So
it's representational. I
think theater is its own. Like, I think like you could, by that same logic, you could consider like an Eminem song conceptual art. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of being memey when I said that, but like, I guess I think that perhaps conceptual art is a broad genre in the way that rock is. Like rock, like you know, there's like a massive difference between Nickelback and like, you know, I don't know, Nirvana or something, right? But they do technically exist under the same umbrella within many subsets of that. Like, and I feel like conceptual art is a large, broad genre that contains tons of subgenres within it.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay, then we agree.
Shakespeare was conceptual art. I said it wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were saying that by that logic you could consider it conceptual art.
No, I said it isn't because it's representational. I think that's the thing. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not necessarily about the art object. It's about if it's a representational object.
Right.
Like a painting of Jesus isn't conceptual because it's an image. There's an art object that was created by an artist to look like an image of Jesus. And it might represent a story too, but it isn't purely concept. But maybe if you had a cross with a banana nailed to it, it evokes Jesus. I mean, maybe that's not a great example because there's no concept to that. But.
What about a room that had a gigantic, massive pile of pictures of Jesus?
That's conceptual because it's not directly representing something.
Yeah. It's like, and also something that I also consider conceptual art as another add-on, another caveat to the definition is art that can't be owned, really. Like, it isn't something that you can buy. Like, it's something that can't be bought, and there are loopholes to that. For example, like, you can own the copyright, the rights, the intellectual property. You can own the documentation of it, but you can't necessarily. But you know, nobody owns.
So this is, I don't usually like to bring this up because it annoys the shit out of me, but the reason why NFTs were a big deal to the art world, I know that now with the like distance of time, we know that a big part of it was basically money laundering. But the reason that a lot of people geeked out about it in the first place is because NFTs were, in at least 2021, the cutting edge of conceptual art for that reason. Because there is no... I mean, I guess it depends if you count like digital images as art objects, but they're easily replicatable. Like that GIF of the guy playing basketball that blew up in the very beginning. It's like tons of people were like, oh, I can just fucking download this. Like, you don't own that piece, whatever. That's technically representational, but the concept and the reason that it had value, and therefore the art piece itself, was the recontextualizing and the idea that it was an art piece. In the same way that a Damien Hirst, like, dead shark in a gallery, there's an art object, technically, and that's a little bit less abstract because, yes, you can own that specific shark.
Somebody probably did.
Somebody definitely does. Yeah. But when you look at that, you're not looking at it like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. I mean, maybe you are, but it's not like, he didn't make it for the purpose of making a beautiful object. It was to prove a point that, like, you can turn anything into art by putting it in a gallery. Maybe there was more of a thesis to that piece, I don't actually know specifically, but
I think it might have been about environmentalism, but that's neither here nor there.
Huh.
I watched a documentary on Damien Hirst one time, and I remember coming away from it feeling like I was like, yeah, this guy's valid. He's cool.
Yeah.
I think he's like almost a symbol of bullshit contemporary art that people hate. Like, he's just kind of synonymous with that. But I think he's fine.
He also, I feel like people that have been doing it for a long time and started like, if you were one of the first people to do something that is now cringe, you're not cringe. He's been making art like this since the 80s or 90s.
Right, and I feel like millennials and young people of today, like, just fucking hate the 90s contemporary art world. We like 90s fashion, we like 90s music, but I feel like people just don't like 90s art.
Well, I feel like 90s art is just 80s art. Like, that is the idea that a lot of people have of, like, the white gallery, like, capitalist pantsuit bidding, like, Wall Street, basically, but it's Renoirs. Like, mostly fictional, but also, like, valid idea of this landscape is basically just, like, 80s stock market art world mentality, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I think that that's really how it works at all, but I think that that is the image that comes to mind for a lot of people
when you think of that shit, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that also, maybe it was more like I actually don't know when the, like, white cube gallery model became popularized, at least in the US, but I would say probably, like, maybe that was more like 60s, 70s.
I think that kind of art where we were putting just, like, weird ambient concepts into white galleries, white, literally the color white, like just a big white room.
Yeah.
Like, that became popular, I think, during the the early 20th century avant-garde movement. Like, I think that would have, like, been, like, Duchamp's era.
But was he, like, celebrated in his lifetime?
Yeah, I think Duchamp was a very recognized and respected painter.
Yeah.
But then he ventured into the avant-garde. And I think that he can... I don't know, like, whatever. We don't have to get into, like, super ridiculous art history. But I think that... I don't think that's, like, just a right now thing. Like, you know, people complain a lot about, like, you know... What am I trying to say? Like, I think that one thing we should point out, too, is that, like, when we're talking about, like, absolutely absurd, foolish contemporary art in a gallery or something, I feel like, you know what this is completely baseless, but you know what I think is responsible for that? Is, like, just, like, Miami cocaine Art Basel bullshit. Where it's just, like, a party in some, like, young, fun city where everybody's rich and drunk and on cocaine, and there's a giant fucking art festival with billionaires walking around, and you know what I mean, like, and people wearing $10,000 pairs of jeans. And I think that kind of culture can breed just foolish, like, frivolous, like, just gross displays of wealth type art. Like, I don't know, what do you think? Am I, like...
I can see that point, but I think an equally poignant point could be made about people that don't work and just oil paint all day. Like, I think that exists on both sides of the spectrum as far as art goes, and I also think that my opinion's a little biased because I actually, like, I mean, it has to have a good enough concept to impress me, but I prefer that kind of art. So...
I think that shit's super fun. I mean, if I went to Art Basel and I was just surrounded by rich people on cocaine, like, looking at bad art, I'd have fun.
Well, that's not what I mean. I'm saying contemporary art, ready-made art, like hyper-conceptual work. I don't really feel like I think that that's bullshit at all.
I know that you know that I don't think it's bullshit either. I don't think it's bullshit. But it is a genre or a world that is often populated by stupid people that are taking advantage of the goodwill of that genre. I love that type of art too.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have an interest in seeing more of it and perhaps even making it myself. But I'm just saying that there is a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just not it.
Well, I think the thing about it that's interesting is that if you are, I don't know necessarily that it's a reflection more of the artist, but maybe more so of the standards of what's shown. Because if you are a bullshit painter, you are getting away with that more in the DIY sphere, in the local gallery sphere. Like, you have to be provably good at the skill of painting to be represented by like a bigger gallery. Or if you're not, it's because you have concept or an interesting life story or something. Like, there has to be something sellable about you. And it's easily provable if you're not a good realism painter or not good at creating whatever art object you claim to create, because there's nothing to sell there. Versus conceptual art, I think it's a lot easier to make an argument. Like, if you have a good enough curator, you could maybe make an argument about anything, because the people who are going to even value that work at all are already people who are looking at things with a critical eye and are trying to apply art as theory. Or maybe that's not even the right way to phrase it, but like art as a lens for viewing the world at large. So they're going to find meaning in it if you give them an opportunity to. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the person who made it in the first place meant that or like cared. So it's a lot easier to find pieces that have absolutely no intended meaning by the artist being appreciated by people that are coming there as consumers of contemporary art and applying maybe that meaning themselves. Versus if you just suck at painting and you submit your painting to a gallery, it's not even going to get past the jury, you know? If they're going to be like, fuck you, you suck.
Yeah, and as far as like interpretations of conceptual art goes too, I think one staple of the genre that is pretty much universally true is that most conceptual art isn't really open to interpretation, while a lot of not conceptual art is. Like,
say that again?
Like a lot of like you can make paintings and sculptures all day, every day that will be accepted and celebrated that have no meaning, that you did not put any effort into some philosophical or intellectual meaning.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement, but that is a requirement for conceptual art. Maybe it isn't a requirement. There's no requirements for fucking anything.
But it's what usually justifies it. Like, it's that is the art piece, is the idea. It's
a convention of that meta.
Yeah.
You know, to have an explanation, like an argue, like you're like a lawyer defending this fucking weird, stupid shit in court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? like a banana taped to a wall is like is like the plaintiff. And like people being like, this is fucking stupid, and you're the conceptual artist, like, actually this is sick. and here's why.
Yeah.
And I feel like most art is like that, and that's why you learn skills, is because you have beautiful, cool ideas in your mind, and you sharpen yourself and get skills so that you can defend and represent those ideas and that taste.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's like the whole fucking idea of being an artist, you know?
I think that the strongest work, and I mean, this is a very open to interpretation perspective, this is just my perspective, but the work that I like the most, that I feel is the strongest, is work that has a very solid concept. Like, the artist was thinking something or intending something with it. Even if it was just like to represent a perspective or to represent their own perspective, like, there's a reason they painted what they painted or sculpted what they sculpted. And the object that they created, whether or not it's representational, is sick.
Yeah.
If you're not hitting both notes, it's not as easy to get my attention, I think.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen, maybe the answer is no because it's hard to remember, but like, have you ever seen a conceptual art thing that you read the statement and all the writing and you fully immersed yourself in it and you thought, yeah, no, they didn't succeed at this at all. This is bad.
Yeah.
Huh. Is there any that you could name if you chose to? Not asking you to, but I mean, like, are you just saying like, yeah, obviously I have, or you like, did you think of something specific?
I did think of something specific, but
we want to keep it posy.
So my personal code of conduct
Very
is that if I don't
millennial.
like an art piece, it has to be by somebody who's already rich and famous.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to punch down.
or just even punch parallel to me.
Oh, lateral punches.
Yeah, not cool. I don't know.
I'll do lateral punches in certain situations.
Well, yeah, I will too. I'm behind closed doors, but
oh yeah,
I think it's just a fucked
no
up
rules
use of
behind
platform.
closed doors.
I don't know. Our
We don't want to be talking shit about.
But I'm trying
people.
to think if there's something that something that. All right, you know what? This is so entry level, but fuck it. Like, I guess that's fine. If you haven't already seen Exit Through the Gift Shop, I know that everybody tells you to watch that, and it's the most edgelord thing to recommend someone to watch, but you really should go watch it. Because
it's a rite of passage for young artists.
It really puts into perspective, though, like the kind of code of ethics that other artists will hold you to if you step into conceptual art.
Yeah.
Because the consumers will not. Buyers will not. Buyers are not other artists. Mr. Brainwash is a really good example of an artist who fucking blew up, was selling art, and technically, by all rights, could do whatever he wants, but he did not pass the vibe check, and nobody respected him. That's the difference between conceptual art and art just to make an art object.
Yeah.
If you watch that, you'll get it.
Mr. Brainwash was just like a tornado of a man failing upwards and just becoming the most he was like Frankenstein's monster, but it was like if Frankenstein's monster became Elon Musk. Like he just became a billionaire as a zombie.
I wonder what happened to that guy.
He's probably just like some dad with a bunch of money, just living a good life in like LA or something.
I might rewatch that documentary.
Yeah, and to talk a little bit about it, if you have no idea what it is, Exit Through the Gift Shop was a documentary because Mr. Brainwash was just some guy from LA who had a passion for just filming stuff. Like he would just document shit on tape all day, every day. He would film his family, he would film his friends, he would film his drive to work, he'd film everything.
Yeah.
And he ended up becoming interested in developing an affinity for graffiti artists. And he ended up through a crazy series of events being paired up and friends with artists like Shepard Fairey, famous for the Andre the Giant imagery and the Obey brand. He ended up following lesser known artists that are just equally as dope. Space Invader, also Swoon was in Exit Through the Gift Shop. And it also ended up ending up in Banksy's inner circle.
Yeah.
Doing work with Banksy, filming adjacent to him in some ways. He's featured prominently in the documentary. And it's a little bit cinematic, so I won't tell you the ending, I guess. But it's basically a story about a complete random fucking goon of a man ending up in the inner circles of the most well-known and prolific street artists of the 2000s. And it's just like this guy just becomes a monster in a cool way, honestly.
He was a documentary filmmaker, but I guess his like editing style was like, they make fun of it in the documentary because he was filming all this stuff and he was there for everything, and he had really like important documentation of like the street art in New York and in the United States in the early 2000s.
In LA.
Was it in LA? Did I fuck up?
I think a ton of it was in LA.
Oh, maybe
I think it was all over.
Yeah, but it was like art history happening, and he had sole access to these tapes and videos, and then he would edit them like shit and like make them look terrible, and you couldn't like follow. Like it wasn't documentary editing. And
he edited them as if they were like a skate video.
Yeah.
Like they were like a skate video montage with like music and people spray painting.
Which is kind of funny, I guess.
It's kind of.
But I guess he set out to try to find Banksy, and he was like getting to know people, and then like through making friends with different people and networking through this scene, he did, and he started documenting him. And then Banksy made an offhanded comment to him about like, you should be an artist if you're going to be around all these people, like you know so much or whatever. So he tried it, and he blew the fuck up and started making millions of dollars within a matter of weeks. And the documentary turns into a documentary about him halfway through that Banksy starts running.
Yeah. Well, we'll let them watch it. We won't spoil the whole thing.
Everybody's seen it.
No, they haven't. We're talking to somebody said something similar to me on TikTok the other day, where I made a post about how you should be drawing on label 228 postage notes, and they're free.
Yeah.
And somebody commented and was like, everybody knows this. Like, this isn't gate-kept info. And I'm like, I'm obviously not talking to people my age in a stat. Like, this is not meant for you, you dumbass.
I mean, honestly, if I'm being real too, though, most people that I know that are my age probably haven't even seen Exit to the Gift Shop. That's like, it's kind of like an art nerd documentary.
But yeah, true artists have. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you're a young artist, go watch it and then get arrested for graffiti within the next 2 months because you watched it.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But also, random trivia about Banksy. Did you hear that there's breaking news about him recently?
No.
It turns out that because of a legal snafu of somebody suing him in some court case in England, that his identity might be legally compelled to be revealed, essentially.
Really?
Through a court case that he's currently in right now.
Why?
I think probably just like discovery and shit, but apparently it's already been revealed but not confirmed by the court. But Banksy has been named, and a lot of people now are Banksy's identity has been 99.9% confirmed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
who is he?
He's like I forget the name that was actually associated with him. It was something like, like Ron Wilson or something. Like, it's just
He's just some guy.
He's like just some white guy in his 40s from like Manchester or something.
He's only in his 40s?
Yeah, I think he's like a relatively young dude. Like, he's not like, fucking 29, but he's like a middle-aged man, a younger middle-aged man.
He must have started doing this shit when he was pretty young then.
I mean, Banksy originally became known in like the early 2000s.
That's what I'm saying. If he's 40, he must have been like a teenager or in his early 20s.
I guarantee he was a teenager in his early 20s doing graffiti. And I think he gets a lot of criticism. I don't know. We don't have to get into criticism of Banksy, but I think, I don't know. I don't think anybody fully knows the extent of his biography, or, versus someone like Shepard Fairey, who gets similar criticisms as Banksy for the kind of like derivative flat street, political commentary that you see from that type of art. But, I think Shepard Fairey is a little more respected than Banksy because I think it actually might be because Shepard Fairey's story is so transparent and well known.
Yeah.
Like, everybody know, like, he was like Shepard Fairey, I'm pretty sure, was a skate punk kid from the suburbs of Connecticut that took I think that his story is that he was a kid from the suburbs of Connecticut, did like a day trip with his friends to New York City, saw all the graffiti, and then was like, I'm gonna be a fucking graffiti artist. And then started doing graffiti in his local area, and then moved to New York as a young man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what he did. But like, versus Banksy, who nobody knows fucking anything about, is like this white guy making like weird, like edgy liberal imagery, and like putting it like, everywhere from like black neighborhoods of England to fucking Brooklyn to like, a war zone in like Syria.
Yeah.
Did you know that that's like a real thing that Banksy did?
Yeah.
He had himself smuggled into like a like isolated area in a war zone in Syria.
Yeah.
To do street art. It's pretty lit, honestly, but yeah, that's anyway. I think I just went on a tangent, and I can't remember where the tangent started, so I have no idea where to conclude.
It's kind of hard because I don't think that it had a definitive beginning. Like, we've just been unraveling the same ball of string for like an hour, I think.
That's fun.
It is fun. We were talking about conceptual art and what is conceptual art, and I think I brought up Mr. Brainwash because he was an example. You
know what would be fun? You should look up what's the Webster's dictionary definition. Like, what's the most bland, easy definition of conceptual art you could get?
Please hold. Art in which the idea or concept presented by the artist is considered more important than its appearance or execution.
Okay. Wait, say that again. So, art that's concept or idea is more important than the appearance or execution. That sounds as if it's implying that it can be crappy as long as its concept is the concept, but the concept is prioritized.
Conceptual art, also referred to as conceptualism, is art in which the concept or idea involved in the work is prioritized equally to or more than traditional aesthetic, technical, or material concerns. Some works of conceptual art may be constructed by anyone simply following a set of written instructions.
Oh, yeah, and that's definitely true, as we know from, like, the museum world, because conceptual art is assembled and curated and put together by not the artist every fucking day.
Yeah.
In every museum ever. You know? It's probably very rare that the artist themselves installs conceptual art.
So that's an interesting...
In museums.
That's an interesting point, though, because I think... I mean, I'm just being contrarian in the sense because I know that this isn't nearly as common, but I think that there are also a lot of... There are painters throughout history and some contemporary painters that have done that are not conceptual artists specifically, that had their like apprentices or people that work in their studio, even now, mass produce art objects for them where the original may have been something that they made, but they have other people assemble it.
That's like, I mean, even marble sculpture, for example, in like way back, like in the Renaissance and shit, like Michelangelo type stuff, like Michelangelo, I'm pretty sure, had a shop with a staff of people. And, you know, even in contemporary marble sculpture right now, not people making contemporary art out of marble, but people making classical art out of marble in 2023 are often, the carving people are often specializing in hyper-specific forms of carving so that they can be a part of a marble artist's team.
Yeah.
Like a guy who's overseeing a crew of people making marble sculpture will have somebody there that specializes in hair or hands or whatever, you know. Why did you bring that up?
Well, now I'm thinking...
I'm lost.
Well, I was going to say that using that as a way to define just conceptual art maybe isn't valid, because there are technically other art forms that aren't conceptual art specifically that you can give an instruction list to someone else and have them make it, and it's still your art. But I will say that I think that has changed a lot in modern art than it was in the past. Like in like Leonardo da Vinci's era, having someone else finish a painting for you was like, I don't know, nobody fucking knew, you know? It's like fine. But now if you were to do that, like if you just started a painting or like you just came in at the end, like I think Michelangelo did this. Like you had apprentices paint it and then you just came in and did like the face and then sold it as like a Brian Huntress original. That might be considered like, it would probably break some labor laws at least.
You know who does that right now? A contemporary artist that currently does that is Jeff Koons.
Jeff Koons is a conceptual artist, though.
Yeah. See,
I feel like that's accepted in the canon for conceptual art only.
Do you know what I don't like about conceptual art, though, the label?
What?
Is that it's simultaneously referring to any art that has a concept and a real conceptual meaning as to why this was made. Mm-hmm. And but I don't think that like a painting of Jesus from the 15th century whose concept is contemplating the suffering of Christ and how he died for our sins and Jesus, like we need to like know the pain of Jesus to get into that. Isn't conceptual art.
I don't think anybody's saying it is, though. Right,
but that is an art piece that has a primary concept that is more important than the artwork, which is literally the definition that we just read.
But I think, well, I mean, that can be said about a lot of representational art. But, for example, if you had a painting of, like, or a photograph of, like, a crying mother with, like, her child, like, injured in her arms. Yes, what you're looking at and what you're feeling when you look at it and, like, the scene is more important than the actual physical photo. But that's because it's depicting that. Like, if you had, like, the art piece that you're talking about, if it was, like, a Passion of Christ painting or whatever, or like a painting of like, I don't know, like Jesus on the cross.
Sure.
It's still a painting of him, which conveys that message, which is why you're thinking about the concept. It's not just like something that's much more vague, like some kind of...
Okay, so maybe Jesus is too hard because he's universal. So
Well, not even that, but it's representational.
But it seems like our working definition of conceptual art doesn't exclude representational art. It seems as though the conceptual nature of it makes it representational.
But if you did a painting of, like, for example, if you did a really shitty painting of the crucifixion, it wouldn't be effective.
Because you feel like the quality of the piece is,
Like
is directly correlating to...
the skill of the artist.
No,
also.
the skill of the piece is directly correlating to our ability to interpret it.
Yes.
Because it's as if it's writing, where writing can't be just gobbledygook jumbles of words.
Yeah,
it needs to have some precision.
Like, for example,
in order
if
for
you
us to
saw a piece
understand.
of paper that just said Jesus Bible on it and nothing else, you would know what it meant.
No, it would
Like-
be conceptual art.
Yeah. That was good.
I actually love that. That would be so funny.
You're gonna fucking steal that. No, if you do produce it, it was still my idea, and therefore you are the artist following my set of instructions. But see, that actually was, I know we're kidding, but like that was a pretty good example.
Yeah.
Because that would not be a representational piece. Like if you actually read like a story from the Bible, the reason that is poignant, the reason that is, well, maybe it's because it's from the Bible, it's a little difficult. But like it has to be well written to evoke that emotion, to paint that picture, to tie into that concept well,
and
because it's representational.
And by well written, you mean like has precision and it's clear. It's in understandable language.
Yeah.
That a speaker of that language can understand.
I mean, I guess you could split that hair even further if I really wanted to, but yes, that was a working definition.
It could even be, yeah.
And maybe it'd be more effective if it was also beautiful.
I
but-
literally almost said it could even be pictorial instead of be language, and
We're full circle now.
yeah, I just did a giant loop back to the, yeah.
See, here's a good example though. Maybe, so you're in a gallery, right? And you see like a really shitty, huge, blown up MS Paint image, like all pixelated, of Jesus on the cross, and it looks like a meme.
Yeah.
That would be leaning more towards conceptual. If you see that same composition, same image, obviously tying into the same subject matter, nothing different except it's a hyper-realistic oil painting.
Let's walk through that a little bit. Tell me why couldn't I make a shitty MS Paint picture of Jesus that is blown up to 8 feet tall at 72 dpi? It looks like total shit. Why couldn't that also just be me making art about the suffering of Jesus and reverence of the Lord?
Because it's irreverent. Which is, that makes
What if
you
it
think,
would?
right?
So there's some intention required. If I was being intentionally irreverent,
Well, I
you think that would be to be intentionally crude about something that is supposed to be revered is kind of subversive in a way.
Well, it almost wouldn't even matter if it was intentional. Like, if you had a child's drawing of Jesus in a gallery and it was crude because it was a kid, there's still, like, now there's what's being represented and there's something else to give you pause. Like, you could read into that differently versus if you walk into a gallery and it's just a, like, ornate oil painting in a gold frame of Jesus and Mary. Like, there's not... You're going to look at that and be like, that's gorgeous. I know what that is. You might think about it for a while. It might make you feel something if you're religious. Like, but you're on one path, right? There's not like it's not taking you through an unexpected sidebar, which would be the concept coming in. So it can be both.
So would you consider, like, Salvador Dali a conceptual artist?
Well, I guess then you have the question, which is an entirely different debate of, are the surrealists somewhat conceptual?
So that's the kind of the part that I'm like a little bit like that I feel like is a little bit inconsistent, is the fact, like, am I a conceptual artist because I have real written concepts about the work that I'm making?
So I don't think that you can really label an artist's entire, I was going to say discography, their portfolio.
Sure, the discography.
All of their work. A lot of artists aren't in one genre, right? So I would say that you do have, for example, that Bible that you stuck a bunch of nails in, that's a conceptual piece. But some of the paintings that you've done, like maybe a portrait that has like symbolism in it, that is like a portrait that maybe has snakes in it that symbolize something, or you know what I mean? Like I know you have a lot of like meaning behind a lot of your imagery, but I think that the key word here is more. Like if the concept is more important than the execution, like if you could just whip the piece up in 2 seconds, or if the images that you're actually looking at don't matter and you could convey it in a completely different way too, and the thing that makes it art, or the thing that stands out about it or makes it interesting is an idea.
Perhaps it's not about quality, but it's about priority.
Yeah,
like
it did say like,
which part is the priority?
Yeah, that
like,
was in the definition.
Oh, the word priority?
Not priority, but it's when it didn't say that when it doesn't. Let me find exactly what it was.
Well, I mean, I don't care about that definition anymore. I'm just saying that, like, for my own sake, if you could still. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm just.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what were you just reading to give me further context? Because I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
The art in which the concept or ideas involved in the work are prioritized equally or more than traditional aesthetic, technical, or material concerns.
All right.
So it doesn't bar pieces that are visually, like the aesthetics are important. It just means that the idea would be.
I just feel like that's so weird because, like, what if it's the same? What if it's like, I don't know. I mean, I also feel like there's another inconsistency I have with it is that, like, I can enjoy. Like, okay, how about this? Kusama's fucking infinity mirrors. Are those not conceptual art because they're so beautiful and interesting to look at, and you can look at them for hours and enjoy it without ever knowing what it means? No. Isn't that as if the visual aesthetic experience of the infinity mirrors can have a kind of fluctuating priority between concept and aesthetic experience? Like, does that start to change? Can an art piece's genre change rapidly as it's experienced?
Well, I think the priority the intention of the artist? Is it the artist's priority or the viewer?
Well, I don't know.
Because you might not be a conceptual consumer of art and still appreciate that, but the art piece itself puts priority on, like, it's beautiful, so there is a priority on aesthetics and it's conceptual. Which means that would be one of the, because it did say, to contradict what I said earlier, that it's pieces that have an equal priority between aesthetics and traditional mediums or concept, or more leaning towards conceptual. So that maybe would fall into the area where it's aesthetically and conceptually interesting, as intended by the artist.
Huh. So I guess conceptual art is a genre that requires us to honor the intentions of the artist despite just enjoying it.
Well, think about it in the sense of if you didn't enjoy it. Like, there's a lot of people who can look at conceptual art and decide that it's ugly and not get it at all and just leave, but that doesn't make it not conceptual. It just means it wasn't their cup of tea.
Yeah. Sorry to say it, but I'm fucking over this, dude.
Okay.
This sucks.
How long have we been recording? It's been a while, I think.
Yeah, it's been an hour and 38 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I remember looking at the time of the episode, and it said 3 minutes in, and I was like, how the fuck are we going to do this, dude?
Why?
Fuck. Because we had only started recording, and I felt fatigued already, and it's the, we're recording right at the,
Yeah, it's okay.
Right at the finish line. Right, but this is like a buzzer shot of an episode every time we do this. Or buzzer beater, is that what they're called?
You can't think about it like that, though. Every time I think about it like that, it makes it horrible. We're just talking.
But it doesn't matter if it's horrible or not, because it's already done. So we're good.
It's true. You still shouldn't think about it like that, though.
Oh, you think about it like that every time.
No, I don't. I didn't this time.
Yeah, because you were properly fed and taken care of and kissed on the forehead and given chicken noodle soup.
That's all that I ask.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for prepping me for the episode. You didn't even tell me we needed to record until after I ate my soup.
That's right.
That was like so nice. And I had a really hard day today, so I really appreciate
You had a hard
that.
day, yeah.
You didn't even know that. You were making my soup and didn't even know.
I didn't know, and at that moment I went, yep, we're not recording. When I found out why you were having a hard day.
We are, though. Life goes on.
For now.
And it still will after, too.
Yep. I was thinking about... What the fuck was I thinking about? Oh, I was thinking about memento moris and death recently, and I think it's because of the fact that we watched The Book Thief, the movie, the other night, which is perhaps could be considered conceptual art in its status as a memento mori World War II story.
I don't think so.
Well, I would say that the message about the horrors of World War II is more important than some mere story.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's what that means.
The concept of The Book Thief is more important than the book itself.
That's not what it means. You're being intentionally obtuse right now.
I was being obtuse about that specific point. Yeah, I was. It was a conceptual art.
Every single
It was
book.
a performance that I was doing for you just now.
That's not what that means either. The performance part, yeah, but...
I was performing
No, you're pissing me
asshole
off.
behavior
Yeah, you were.
as an art piece.
Oh my god.
And it's documented on this episode right now.
We're going there.
Perhaps one day,
I was performing asshole behavior as an art piece.
perhaps one day,
The state of
this
my
audio will be played in an empty gallery,
It won't
just a
be.
white room with this audio playing, because I'm creating conceptual art right now.
No.
Right
If
now,
that happens, it's
right,
going to be because you or I did it.
right now, we are traveling through space and time. Right now, it is 2023, but right now, it is also a completely different year in a completely different place with people listening in a white cube. It's happening, Theo. You can't stop it. They're listening. They're here.
You're goading me
We
right now.
may not even be here. We may even be dead in this moment.
Nobody's going to be listening to our podcast after we're dead. Let's be fucking real.
That's what you think.
Oh, do they have... They have bovas.
They had bovas.
They have
Look
bovas
at that.
too.
I see a sign, a white sign with red and black lettering and a little Italian flag at the
Dude,
top.
nobody's here.
We're at Bovas, baby. We
There's
said
no
we'd come here at
line.
the end of the episode.
Bovas.
What day is it?
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Everybody that's here is so young. It's all college kids, probably.
Yeah, it's because the North End is a young neighborhood now.
Those people don't live in the North End. Those were literal kids.
You can tell whether or not someone lives in the North End based on the fucking clothes they're wearing.
Yeah, those were kids in, like, streetwear. Like,
Yeah.
sweatpants. Those kids are in college.
That woman lives in the North End.
That woman is not a child. Those were kids.
So you're specifically pointing to
Everybody-
children that I just didn't see?
Everybody in line at Bova's looks like they're 21 right now.
I guarantee there are a lot of affluent, young, early 20s people living in the North End right now.
I think it's much more likely that they came to Bova's after class.
No. I'm doing more conceptual art.
Yeah, I fucking know.
Just kidding. All right.
My period is starting, and I want you to get me chocolate cake now.
All right, I will. What? You want me to go in the Bovas?
Yeah, I don't want to go.
But I paid for the cake last time.
But I have slippers on. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I paid for your treats at Stop and Shop.
Oh.
What was that face for? All right. Boston.
No, you didn't even. That was to pay me
Art
back for the ticket.
Oh, fuck off. Boston Art Podcast. Boston. Oh, buzzer beater, baby.
I've got
All right.
Boston Art Podcast. Bye.
Boston Art Podcast is an independent DIY production by Brian Huntress and Theodora Earthworms. The information contained in this episode represents the views and opinions of the original creators or our guests and does not represent any institution, organization, or business. Find us on Instagram at Boston Art Podcast and tune in for a new episode every Friday. Thank you for listening.
It don't gotta listen just cause they talking fucking. They fucking
Clown ass bitches, they can all suck a dick. Yeah, it's like people knowing you before ever knowing you. Judging something fucking with for something you were going through. Sunk cost loss is the fallacy forgot why I ever came here. Fuck it, gotta leave here. It's like someone knowing you before ever knowing you. It's killing me, fragility would kill for anonymity. Don't wanna leave, but I don't wanna stay. Wish these motherfuckers say the fuck about my way.
Now into the ground, speaking vines, reach up and wrap around. They wanna keep me from running. Deep now into the ground, speaking vines, reach up and wrap around. They wanna keep me from running. Deep now into the ground, speaking vines, reach up and wrap around. They wanna keep me from running. Deep now into the ground, speaking vines, reach up and wrap around. They wanna keep me from running.